This is Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tucarro. If you drive long haul, short haul, or heavy haul, they're here to empower and inspire women in the trades on tncradio.live. So gear down, sit back, and enjoy.
Welcome to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tucarro. We're a show that works to inspire and empower women in trucking, in the trades, and everywhere. We tackle all kinds of topics and work to encourage women to be their very best with informative guests and women who've been champions. I'm Shelley, and
I'm Kathy.
No topic is not allowed on our rig. We tackle the tough topics along with the not-so-tough topics. And we like to feature experts and celebrities who can assist women in being the best they can be. There's scientific proof that music can positively impact and heal our mind and body. Michele Blood began as a rock singer in Australia. After a horrific car accident, she turned to music and meditation to heal. She began to compose affirmation songs with melodies and lyrics that directly impact the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Michele's helped millions of people with her affirmation power songs that have allowed them to heal and rebuild confidence, power, and purpose. Michele's traveled to 26 countries and shared the stage with keynote speakers like Bob Proctor, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Stuart Wilde, and other experts. We have Michele be with us today, along with Jeananne Onstayan. She's a commercial driver who's benefited from Michele's help. Welcome, Michele and Jeananne. Thank you so very much for being with us.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Jeananne, for coming on today. I knew that everyone was going to love Jeananne. So she's a very inspirational woman who's a mystic as well.
Ooh. Oh, very cool. I love it. So, I'm extremely intrigued with the concept of the power of music. I know there's music therapy. How does music impact the brain? I wanted to delve into that to give an introduction to our listeners before we get into your background, Michele, as well as yours, Jeananne.
Well, there's been a huge amount of studies being done in especially the last 8 years on music therapy. And back when I first started my affirmation pop music, it was only to heal my own body. I didn't intend for the world to get it. I didn't realize, because it had such an impact on healing my body so miraculously. Journalists all over the world were interviewing me about my miraculous healing, which is how it sort of shabammed into being from rock singer to affirmation singer and sharing the stage with all of these people and up to 50,000 people audience. It was just insane how it happened. But when you're given a divine purpose, it just always works out perfectly. And, accidents aren't accidents.
Right.
And so the music, when you have a positive, I always do my music nearly always in major keys because it affects your vibration. Everyone now knows that this has been proven that we all have a frequency that we vibrate at. And so the way that people can improve their life and have success and healing and more money in their lives is to have their vibration be faster. Mm-hmm. It's a frequency, it's a speed. And if you go into a house and there's something wrong, you just go, wow, I got to get out of this room, because probably people were fighting or something in there. Everyone psychically can feel energy. Mm. But then you go into another room and you're like, wow, I don't know what it is. This room is exactly the same as the other one, but it feels fantastic. Maybe there were people laughing in there or meditating. You can feel when someone is lying to you. You can feel when someone is being sincere. And it's the same. So with the brain, the music, when it's in a major key and positive, just uplifting music and perfectly done. So there's not one note that's incorrect. Every harmony is perfect. Because if you listen to people doing harmonies and one person is out of harmony, the whole thing is ruined. So you've got to have perfect harmony. It's got to be done perfectly, the music, so that people feel good when they're listening to it. So the left side of the brain is the lyrics, or in my case, affirmation lyrics. The right side of the brain is the melody and the music. So with that, when you've got positivity coming in on both sides, you have a whole brain experience, and the positive message, it makes you feel better immediately. It lifts your vibration, and then your mood has changed as well. And the same sort of studies have been done on really sad songs. When people are in a melancholy mood or depressed, they like to listen to sad songs because they're resonating with that emotion, right?
Yep.
And the doctors say, John Hopkins should see all the studies that we've found on Berkeley and that we put on my websites. But anyway, people can become suicidal through listening to negative music when they're feeling negative. So the doctors say, don't listen to the blues if you've got the blues.
Yeah, that makes sense. When I want to be uplifted, or if I had a bad day, I put on like power music, and it really does make a difference.
Yeah, I do the same. I sit in equipment for long hours a day, like 13 hours a day for 14 days straight. So most times there's too much going on in the mind, so I don't have time to listen to the radio, or I want to focus on what's going on in the equipment. But when I get overwhelmed, I'll put on music. I have certain meditation music that I listen to that calms me and soothes me rather than, I don't listen to anything aggressive, because then I find it unbalances me more. But you are absolutely correct. It's how you're feeling. You have to learn to tune into your own vibrations, and what do I need in this particular moment? What is going to help raise me out of my own negativity? And I'm constantly doing that. And the music you pick is 100% what's going to either help you or lead you down the path you don't necessarily want to go. But I think the problem is people don't recognize that. So what you're doing is fabulous. Yeah, what you're doing is fabulous. So thank you.
Yeah, and more. Thanks. I've got them for kids too. Dr. Chopra said, why don't you do one for kids? So I've got an album called Self-Esteem for Kids, with all little baby animals speaking about where they come from in the world and what they eat. And then the baby animal, which is me doing a voiceover, starts singing the little song about loving their family and hugging and kissing them. And that's a really cute one. In fact, many adults have said they actually prefer that one because it's so cute. But yeah, that's what music does. It's amazing. And I write some beautiful angelic music that I do with, I've just done one called Angel Prosperity Sleep Program. Have you heard that one, Jeananne?
Hello. Yes, I have used it. I've used it a few times already.
Yeah, that's a new one that I've done, which is on our Magnet to Money app. So we've got like morning meditations, and everyone, you're in a different, like, Kathy just said, when you're in a different vibration, and that's why we've got so many different programs. The magnetic creative visualization program, where you get to visualize very, very quietly what your new home looks like, because, you do think in pictures. Yep. And so you create through your thoughts, particularly when you're getting into a higher frequency, your thoughts are much more powerful then. So, and I know that Jeananne has sent me over the years some of the things that she'll just start recording, certain songs that are just so fun. And then she sends that out to her trucking friends. And she loves to uplift people. She loves to do whatever she can to uplift people, because she's a full-time truck driver owner.
I think that what you're doing, Michele, has some tremendous potential with people who have, say, some disabilities like Alzheimer's. And the reason I mentioned this, my mother years ago had gotten herpes encephalitis. She actually had a cold sore that went to her brain. And she survived after being in a coma for about a month. And
wow.
What I did, she was basically trying to piece her life back together and her memory and all of that. I got her music from her 20s when she loved to dance. And I had the nurses' aides that we had in to help her play that music. I also got her some dance lessons so she could do this, especially in the wintertime when she would have more depression and that sort of thing. It was amazing what it did for her. So
I was doing a podcast with an expert on Alzheimer's the other day, and he said that's what he gets all the patients to do, all their children, bring in all the music that they loved when they were teenagers and in their 20s. Bring it in, play it to them, because that will stimulate their brain. Give them coconut oil every day so that helps as well, and turmeric. and music. So yeah, exactly. I know my mother doesn't have Alzheimer's, but I know she's 91 now and she still dances around the house with her old music that she liked when she was in her 20s.
Yes. Well, in Mom's case, she didn't have Alzheimer's, but she had brain damage. So it could act the same way. And then that's just kind of the degenerative thing that can happen with the brain. And it really uplifted her and it helped her cognition substantially. It was amazing. And I think it did help with her aphasia and various other things. She was able to interact better. And there were days where, she was Mom again. And it was wonderful to see. No one had told me to do this. We basically weren't given any guidance by the doctors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they basically said, well, most people don't live.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So we were kind of on our own.
Jaw dropping?
Yes. So that was kind of what I came up with. I thought, she's always loved this. Why not do this?
Well, you're a very smart lady. And I mean, you want to uplift everyone, you and Kathy, because that's why you're doing these interviews, is to uplift all these truck drivers. And I mean, when I first met Jeananne and she told me, she became a meditation student of mine. And when she told me what she did, I was just blown away. I was like, that's a warrior. Talk about women warriors that, what do you call it? Women road warriors. I said, she is. And just, it's incredible. I just really respected and loved that she did that. And that's why when you asked me to come on, I said, oh, you've got to let one of my students and friends, Jeananne, come on, because she's a road warrior.
I was wondering if we could talk a little bit about both of your backgrounds. Certainly, Jeananne, your background as a driver, and Michele, you were a rock musician in Australia. We wanted to know how all of this evolved.
Well, I started singing it on TV at the age of 5, professionally.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah. And eventually I got, bands together. I started out with just cover bands, and then we became really, really popular cover bands. If you're a really good cover band, you get a lot of big gigs. We had brass section, the whole lot. But I wanted to have an original band. So it took me about 4 years to get all the right musicians that were the best of the best. And so I was the lead singer, songwriter, manager of the band. And I eventually got us a Time Warner record contract. We were doing music videos, and at one stage we toured for 7 years non-stop. And we toured supporting Georgia Satellites, In Excess, The Pretenders, Midnight Oil, you name it. We toured with the biggest bands in the world. And we were just about to get a record contract internationally, which is what every Australian band dreams of, because otherwise you never make any money, because there's not enough people in Australia to buy that many records. And so that's when it was actually a truck accident. I used to hire independent truck drivers, right? I never met a woman one in those years though. And, I'd get the best deal that I could, but I always liked one of us to travel with the truck driver, just to make sure, because you didn't have background checks in those days or internet, just to make sure that they would turn up at the gig with all this expensive equipment. Sure. Anyway, so we had been driving for 12 hours. I'd fallen asleep because I'd just finished a gig and we drove for 12 hours. So, I didn't expect the truck driver to fall asleep. That never happened to me before. But he did. He fell asleep. It was winter and the heater was on, and he probably shouldn't have had the heater up so high. Later he said, but he said, you were like you were shivering and I didn't want you to be cold. So he was very, very sweet, upset about, it happening. But he fell asleep, went into a telephone pole, and the musical equipment, it went that way. So he was safe from the equipment, but it went into me. So I had so many broken bones and splinters all through my organs, and they never thought I'd walk again properly, or if I did, I would have this terrible limp, but they just didn't expect for me to live at all. But hello.
There you are.
And so that is when I started, that's how I created my healing. I was attempting to do affirmations and auto-suggestion. I am healed. I know I am. I love myself. I am my friend. But the doubting mind kept spitting it out, because if you don't emotionalize an affirmation it won't go into the treasury of your subconscious mind. So as a singer-songwriter, about a month later, in two more very long operations, I started singing, I am healed, I know I am. I love myself, I am my friend. And I sang it over and over and over again onto a little cassette player. And that is how my new profession, I'm still sing, I still create music, but this different way of getting into spirituality and positive thinking, traveling the world, doing albums in many different languages. That's how it all began, is from that car accident. So I know the worst thing that ever happened to me was actually the very best thing that ever happened to me. Right on, Jeananne?
Yeah.
Yes.
It opened a door. And by the way, I love your voice, Michele.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Bit early to try to sing, but I thought I'd do it again.
I would
Give it
say
a
you sound terrific. So, Jeananne, how did you get involved with Michele, and what's your story?
Well, I started driving in 2001, and I've worked for, 7 different companies, and I team drove. I did a lot of different things. But I was also on a spiritual path during this whole time. So I used my drive time, though, all those years to study things, listen to all kinds of stuff, new age stuff. I mean, I was just like, using my time to explore and listen to music and jam. And I never actually got into like the typical consciousness of like an average truck driver. I was like in my own world all these years. And I considered myself a mystic and all these things, but I came to realize about, 6.5 years ago, I realized, eventually, I really need a teacher. So I told my higher self, I was like, man, I'd like a teacher. And I just put in the request, and then I waited. And a couple months later, through studying Bob Proctor, I heard about Michele, and I got really excited. And I submitted an application after finding her YouTube videos. And that's how I found Michele. And it was sort of like this natural progression. And I didn't even know about enlightenment. I had, through all my new age material, I'd studied all kinds of stuff, but I had never learned about enlightenment. And that became my journey from starting with Michele, was to learn about enlightenment. And so many things happened since then. So a couple of years with Michele, I had already had these seeds planted in my consciousness of wanting my own truck, because after years of being a company driver, I was getting a little tired of not having control over my own truck, and companies telling you just to hop out of this truck and go into another truck. And I always felt like the truck was my home, and they would just tell you, boot you out of one home into another home. And
Sure.
So through the teachings and the meditation and everything, it was almost like fairy dust. The light helped to sprout these seeds. And then I bought my own truck about 4 years ago. And then I began like this whole new journey that I'm still on. And I've now paid off my truck, and I'm leased to a company where we haul entertainment stuff. Like last night, I did a move for Disney on Ice. There was like 18 of us transferred Disney on Ice from Worcester, New York, Massachusetts to Newark, New Jersey. And I find it, like what I'm doing now, to be very adventurous, and it's totally different what I did before. And I know that it was the light, like helping to sprout all of the wonders and adventures of trucking, the things I always longed for. So I consider myself an adventure trucker. I live in my truck, and I don't have kids. And I basically, my entire life is utilizing Michele's teachings as best as I can and improving myself. And that's where I'm at.
Wonderful.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's terrific. You're an
Isn't she-
absolute
isn't she-
success story.
She's
Yes.
such an uplifting person, isn't she?
Yes,
Lovely.
Yes, she is.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tucarro.
What exactly is enlightenment for our listeners who are saying, what the heck is that?
Okay, enlightenment is something that every soul on this planet has come here is to become awakened. And they don't realize it because when they're reborn, they forget why they're here. So what happens is we have along our spine, we have an ethereal spine called the 𝗟𝗎𝗓, parallel to the spine.
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom of this 𝗟𝗎𝗓 is something called Kundalini, and it is real. It is an energy. Some people call it Shakti, and it is bubbling light. And what its intention is to go up the 𝗟𝗎𝗓, which is blocked, and to activate the chakras. And it's extremely hard to do on your own. So as my frequency was getting higher and higher, and I was looking for an enlightened teacher, I looked in 14 years, many countries. I went to Japan about 23 times. Every time someone said, there's an enlightened teacher there. I eventually, because they're very rare to find an enlightened teacher that is fully awakened, like the Buddha, like Jesus, like 𝗙𝗢𝗥𝗡, like Lahiri Mahasaya, like Saint Teresa of Avila. You know, it's rare. But I found one, and she was American. I couldn't believe, American Canadian, and she was 10 years younger than me, and she agreed to teach me. So I went off the grid, Shelley and Kathy, get this, after all that success, I went off, I was so committed to learning from an enlightened teacher that I went off the grid for 10 years.
Wow.
No social media, no doing events, nothing. And just studied and meditated every moment I could. You know, I still had to do some work to pay bills and things, and I had a lot of products out there that I had to manage, but I managed to find Trevor, who took over managing my office so that I could really, really focus. Because when my teacher said, we're going to go to Egypt, you had to be ready. You had to get there, be there, be there, be square. Next, we're going to Japan. Next, we're going here. Then we're going to New York. Then we're going to Sydney. Sure. I mean, and you just had to show up. You had to, it's like proving yourself. And I never expected to actually become enlightened. That wasn't anything that was in my periphery or in my consciousness. I just wanted to know God, because as your frequency gets higher, you can feel, I could feel my heart chakra. I used to say to people, can't you hear it? Because I could hear the and the high pitched sounds and humming through my body. And then when I read Yogananda's book, Biography of a Yogi, is when I realized I'm going to go and search for an enlightened teacher, because Yogananda's left the body. So what I would do is I would just read all the enlightened teachers that had left the body. When I met her, she's just on this little tiny stage in Balboa Park, San Diego. No lighting or anything. And I could see her hands glowing, and I felt tingling at the top of my head, and my eyes started watering, and I was like, what in the F is going on here? And so, you know, after all those years, I eventually became fully awakened myself. And then after 2 years, she said to me, I'm not going to be teaching anymore. I want you to go out there and get students and start transmitting this light. And so the people that come to me, people say, what sort of students, you know, what's the caliber? What are they searching for? And I said, they're searching for their self, for their true higher self. So they're from 32 different countries, all different languages. We've even got students that don't even speak English, right, Jeananne, that still come on because they get the light. Dentists, lawyers, doctors, millionaires, podcasters, TV people, celebrities, different people from all walks of life that we meet. And we just have incredible Zoom events, and I transmit this light and teach them in very simple ways. As I'm transmitting light, I transmit light and I pray for their goals, their intentions, to assist them go through many, many different studies of how to even achieve a goal. Because I don't believe that spirituality is just about inner peace. It's much bigger than that. The journey towards it is what it's about. And what you do on your journey and what you're creating in your life, creation must be made, whether it's writing a song or a book or doing a podcast or doing the things that Jeananne does to uplift other people. And we've got another project Jeananne and I are going to do soon. I want everyone to be doing projects, making more money, having multiple streams of income. I worked with Bob Proctor, who left the body last year. We made books together. We did big seminars together. And it's always about creating. And he was creating right up until he left the body at 87. Always creating, always doing seminars. It's like Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton is now 77 or 78. And she said, you know, someone said, when are you going to retire? And she said, what would I do that's more fun than this?
Yeah. She's just an astounding lady.
I adore her.
My mom had introduced me to the song The Hue. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before. When I was 14, it's like but it's a direct vibrational elevation sort of thing, right? It's a 20-minute Hue song, and I've been singing that my entire life. I write about it in my book, in all my books, my children's books, and it's basically a love song to God, and it brings you peace and calm. It expands your awareness. It helps you heal. And I have noticed I've had a really could we call it an interestingly rough life, Shelley? Is kind of an understatement.
Yeah, it's been an adventure for you, Kathy, no doubt about that.
Yeah. So the only thing that has helped keep my sanity, I guess, or helped keep me balanced was singing The Hue my entire life, and at random different times in life, no matter how depressed I was or how hurt, like physically hurt or broken, you know, from domestic violence or just my living situations during various points in my life. But the one thing I can say is that if I didn't have my spirituality, if I didn't have that connection to the inner, I wouldn't have made it. I would not have made it. And it is my hope and my faith that, and my daily tuning in, right? Like you said, and recognizing that light that's inside. I remember one time during a beating, he was screaming like a demon, and he was stomping on my chest as if to squish a cigarette butt. And like just like that, and I started to laugh, which was the wrong thing to do because it just made him angrier. But because from my point of view, I'm like, you idiot, like you can't extinguish that light, like that's mine, right? That's inside of me. I'm such a bright and vibrant soul, and it's almost like he was jealous and wanting to get rid of that, but you can't. I mean, you could if you killed me, but you know, I still exist. I have a plane.
You still,
yeah,
exactly.
Oh, yeah. But he didn't know that. He was too much of an idiot. So tuning into that, and everywhere I go, because I'm the same as you, talking worldwide, I really, really push for people to tune into themselves, because that's where your inner power is. It's not from the neighbor. It's not from your mom. It's not from your kid. It's from you. It's from that divine source. You just got to tap into it. Right. So I love what you're saying. I just absolutely love it.
And Kathy, you also talk about vibrating higher. You talk about frequencies as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't let yourself, because I mean, there's so much negativity right now. Oh my God. And if you allow yourself to get sucked into that at work or in the grocery store, at Walmart or wherever, you become on almost like them. So for me, what I do is I don't allow myself, because I honestly, and I believe I'm holy. Like everything that I am inside, I treat like a holy temple. I am holy ground. So wherever I go, my vibrations, my thought patterns, everything that I am represents that. The words that come out of my mouth, my thought patterns. So I just tune all that out. I mean, I look at it and then I just vibrate higher so that it doesn't come to me, and whatever does come my way, it bounces right off. It's like that protective bubble, you know. So yeah, that's my little trick.
Yeah, and when you actually, it's really beautiful, The Hue. I have heard of it, And when people are doing Om Mani Padme Hum and different chanting, is it reminds the consciousness, because everybody knows what enlightenment is like when they've left the body and they've gone through. I've been through that Stargate so many times in this lifetime that people go through when they die, because you have to go through those experiences to reach enlightenment. And it's the buzzing and the hum is so loud, it's like you've exploded into space. And then after, you know, after the enlightenment, then you hear the hum. It's not really an om, it's a continuous hum. And everybody unconsciously wants the light, even if they're not sure about it. They want to feel it, they want to grab it, they want that happiness. And it sounds like the man in your life was very unusual, you know, karmic crap going on there. And I'm very sorry that happened to you, sweetheart, because I don't like anyone suffering. It hurts my paws when I hear about people suffering. So I'm glad you got away from that. And yeah, people just want that unconsciously. Everybody, you can sprinkle kindness every day. Yes. Everyone must sprinkle kindness everywhere they go, because people rely on it to actually live and feel okay. And I love it when people do that. I read about something which I shared on our Zoom yesterday about this lady whose husband had left the body. She adored him and she's quite young. And so she was just sobbing in this parking lot. We're a big shopping center with a Starbucks and everything. And then something within her just said, look, just go and get a nice latte. That might make you feel better. And she went in, and the lady that served her said, you know, are you okay? And she said, oh yeah, my husband died and I'm just, you know, she said, but I'm doing my best and I thought I could get a lovely latte from you lovely ladies. And anyway, so then the girl, you know how they write your name on the Starbucks cup? She wrote, you have a beautiful golden heart and you are loved.
Oh, how wonderful.
And it changed this woman's vibration from this deep depression where she didn't even know how to get out of the car to just feeling, wow, I think my husband, you know, it's like just a lot of things came up for her that she was getting downloaded truth, in other words, from her higher self, from this beautiful diamond that we are. People can't feel their diamond because it's clogged with all of the hurts and different things that have happened throughout their life. And that is what a light transmission does. It illuminates the diamond again so that your divine presence can go before you and prepare the way. You are 100% God-governed, and beautiful, miraculous things keep happening. And things you didn't even think you could create are created without you even thinking about them, sometimes before you even write them down. The right divine people that will assist you with whatever it is, even if they're halfway around the world, will come to your aid. It is miraculous. And I'm not shocked by anything anymore when I do prayers for people, but I am fascinated. And I am so in love with my students. I'm so in love with life. I'm so in love with God, with this divine higher self that creates these beautiful miracles in this Maya, which isn't even real.
This is wonderful. Now, Michele, where can people find all of this great information? You cover a lot of different things on your website.
Oh, yeah. So many different things. Well, what I'm going to do is give all you guys about $300 worth of my best-selling products for free.
Oh, wonderful.
So
that's
they just have to
go. Thank you, Michele.
Because then they can at least experiment. And if they find themselves thinking, oh, it can't be that simple, KISS. If someone's making it too complicated, they're trying to sell you something. KISS. Keep it simple and spiritual. Mwah, 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 mwah. So you just go to Michele Blood, MicheleBlood. That's my daddy's name. Don't blame me. It's not a rock name. MicheleBlood.com/Women Road Warriors. Yay.
That's
Yay. I mean, you'll get some of my best-selling songs, Magic of Affirmation Power, the practice of meditation. You'll be able to come onto some of our free Zooms that we do. You will also get my 6-week mysticism course, 6 weeks to just cleaning out your environment, your mind, everything, and just having this new shiny person within 6 weeks. A video each week. You get that for free as well.
You know, I think this is so needed, especially since the pandemic. People have gotten really clogged up. You know, when you think about it, I think people just kind of stopped in their tracks. And if they didn't have something to lean on to get them through it, there have been a lot of issues. There have been issues with mental health and depression and all kinds of things people are struggling with.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on hundreds of TV shows and podcasts and radio shows since the lockdown. Just doctors' podcasts, wanting to get into this and doing a lot of, like a TV show I did the other day where they had me singing, and just getting everyone to sing along and just to uplift everyone, because it's like, it's just, people are so flexible in consciousness, and they don't realize it. They think they're as stuck as can be and that they can't get out of a vibration that they're in or a depression, but they can. There are tools that are quite simple. And I always send prayers and light transmissions to all the podcast people I work with and to all of your audience. And the feedback on that has been tremendous as well, because I know that my prayers and the transmissions come through me and work, because they've worked with people from all over the world. We've got video testimonials from everyone, from Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, you name it, all the experts that use my music. Royalties, anyone? No, I'm just kidding. No, I just let them play it. I'm not like that.
I'm going to try it with my whiplash. I'm headed to work tomorrow for a week. I'm going to try that for my whiplash.
Yeah, and if you send me your picture, Kathy, I will send you a light transmission, and let's fix you up.
Let's try that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I just have one question for Jeananne. Did I say that right? I'm sorry. Jeananne. Lovely name, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, as a fellow trucker, I mean, we operate different kinds of trucks, but what works for you? Like, I know what works for me. In mining environment is completely different than your environment. What works for you when you're having a rough day? Because I know rough days are there. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, and right. So what for other truckers out there that are driving, what's your go-to?
Well, we do have a lot of stress out here. So when I have stressful situations, traffic, weather, you name it, my go-to is music. It always has been. And now I have like these massive playlists, but because of Michelle's help and teachings, I've narrowed down and made some what I call high vibe playlists. And I also listen to back calls of our group, my meditation group, while I drive. And so it's sort of like I've done that for years, so I can just tune in to the light easily by doing that also, and just other podcasts and everything. I teach myself, I listen to YouTube as if it's like an audiobook, anything that I want, that I just like to train myself on anything. I'm always learning. Let's just put it that way. I'm always learning. I stick to positive stuff. I do like other kinds of stuff too, but I would say I stick to my positive stuff. Yeah, mostly.
I like what you just said about I train myself. That is the key. We have to train ourselves. We have to learn to change our habits, right? Because it's so easy to slip into, things that are comfortable, and we have to retrain the brain constantly. I find it's a daily thing for me, but I am a Gemini. I got, I got 5 things on the go at any given time. So, but one thing that I want to comment on also as well before we run out of time real quick is that I just crossed the US with my mother. I brought her from Canada. We went to Minneapolis. We went to Peoria, Illinois, where Caterpillar is. I had a 2-day speaking engagement there. I wanted her to see in person the 797 that's in the museum, which is what I drive, the biggest truck in the world. So I had my mom see that. And then we drove down to Nashville. And then from Nashville, straight across Highway 40, right here to Los Angeles. And even Mom was impressed, because have you been on that highway 40, from clear across from Nashville to here at all? the 90%, I'm going to say 95% of the vehicles were transport trucks. It was unbelievable. And on the other side of the road, thank God, there was a couple accidents along the way, and all you saw for miles and miles and miles were transportation trucks, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, my God, you don't realize the importance of the industry until you see how it's being distributed and how it's so necessary and everywhere. And then I started thinking about podcasts, right? I'm like, dang, I hope they're all listening to us. There's a lot of talk.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, drivers, they're our lifeline. Without professional drivers, North America would stop.
It would. I was shocked. My mom was shocked. We're like, my God. Right. And then I started thinking, well, you know, it takes for my truck in comparison, you got 3 trucks side by side and then 3 more one on top of the other. So you get a cube of 6 trucks. That fits my truck.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
My truck is that big. I'm not joking.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. I've seen pictures of Kathy in front of it. It's like, wow, you know.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, is building a positive image of trucking by telling the story of the hardworking drivers and industry professionals who support the industry. And you can be a part of it. Learn more about TMAF and how you can join and be a part of the industry movement working to build a strong image of trucking by visiting TMAF's website at truckingmovesamerica.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our latest channel, TikTok.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tucarro.
So yeah, kudos to you, and this has been absolutely wonderful. I'm positive, 100% positive that anybody who listens to this show is going to be uplifted, is going to tune in, is going to change their start the process anyway, because change doesn't happen overnight. But it's a tool, right? It's another tool that say, hey, because when you're ready, the answers come.
You got to be ready to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know this podcast is going to really help a lot of people who just when they say, oh, yeah, it's just a coincidence. Yeah, it's not a coincidence.
This is
what
so
you are
exciting.
seeking is seeking you.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I like that too. Yep.
And people don't know that.
Because we resonate. When we resonate, people are wondering why they can't get what they want, because they're resonating with things they don't want. They're focusing on what they don't want. So they're getting more of what they don't want instead of more of what they do want. So all you guys, just focus. Anytime you hear yourself complaining, immediately stop and say, I'm complaining, which means I'm immediately in fear, and I'm trying to block my fear through some negative complaint about a person, place, or a thing. But it's within me. So you say to yourself, what am I afraid of losing that I've already got? Or what am I afraid of not getting that I want? And once you can recognize and identify what it is that you're afraid of, the fear is gone and you're into a different dimension again. You're into a higher vibration again. There's so many tools. Stop complaining. Focus on what you do want. Immediately when you say, oh, I don't want that. I mean, you heard me yesterday, Jeananne, right? When one of the students said she doesn't want so-and-so. I was like a plow driver. Don't ever say what you don't want. Focus on what you do want. It's not putting icing on an unbaked cake, not the way I teach it. I'm not saying just, be positive and don't look at the negative. Do look at the negative, but find out where that fear is coming from so it can then be diminished and released.
This is so wonderful. We have a couple minutes left here, Michele. The website again, if you want to tell everybody where they can find you. MicheleBlood.com, Women Road Warriors, and / Women Warriors, and then the Mystical Experience, themysticalexperience.com. And if somebody would like to have light transmitted to them and they're not ready to actually join a club or, students, you could just go to requestdivinelight.com. And whenever I'm doing light transmissions for the public, they can sign up there. Thank you for asking. Yes, and thank you so much for your generosity here, Michele. As you said earlier, listeners to this podcast and radio show can receive a free copy of your ebook, The Magic of Affirmation Power, and your video, The Power of Meditation. All they have to do is go to micheleblood.com/Women Road Warriors. This is so exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, there's just a ton of products in there. Magnetic Creative Visualization, Goal Setting Action Planner by me and Bob Proctor. Yeah, so much stuff. But everyone, like Kathy said earlier, everyone resonates with a different vibration, and they're all different vibrations or different personalities. Like, they don't feel like being, like, I know that when I was in the hospital, if someone's coming in and they look like they're farting daisies, they're so happy, and you're in extreme pain, you don't resonate with it, so you don't feel good. So sometimes you don't want to hear someone who's too up. You want to you just want to hear something soft and melodious and calming.
Michele and Jeananne, I really appreciate you being on the show. This has been terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, beautiful Jeananne. I love you. I love you. I love you. God bless everybody.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Everyone. It was fun.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tucarro. If you want to be a guest on the show or have a topic or feedback, email us at info@tncradio.live.
Thank you for listening to another great interview on tncradio.live. And don't forget, be sure to subscribe to our podcast of Women Road Warriors. It's free. All of the material you hear on tncradio.live on our website, our broadcasts, or our podcasts are copyrighted. There can be no distribution without the express consent of tncradio.live and its partners. For inquiries, write us at info@tncradio.live.
Before you go, please, if you want to receive some amazing high vibrational success meditation, tons and tons of free products, go to micheleblood.com/links.